ZCash continues to outperform. The privacy narrative is pushing up any token that has something to do with obscuring transactions. The question is, how much longer can this rally last? Let's have a look again at the on-chain metrics, the data most people are not considering. Now, I've published several videos on ZCash before on this channel, and it seems like over time, the interest in ZCash is increasing, as in the recent video finally outperformed the average video shown in gray. And there's a good reason for that increased interest, because in the past, ZCash tended to underperform the general altcoin market. This is ZCash relative to the others market cap. So others measures all the altcoins that are not in the top 10. And for the last 1.5 years, we have seen how the outperformance finally stopped. Prior to that turnaround, ZCash tended to underperform by more than 50% every single year. Now, it's unlikely that we're going to hit the all-time high again, which would mean an outperformance versus the rest of the altcoin market by 260,000%. And the reason why this is unlikely is because over time we have seen more and more ZEC tokens hitting the market, right? The market cap is actually at an all-time high, even though the price isn't. There was a massive initial sell-off after launch, and excluding that sell-off, we have seen several pump and dumps, with a peak at roughly $700 at the beginning of 2018, so the peak of the ICO bubble. The market cap chart though looks very different. The market cap chart is at an all-time high. Again, because there's now way more ZEC floating around than in the early days. 77.5% of supply is now circulating. So the vast majority of token inflation has already happened. But when we look at this chart, then we have to wonder how much higher can we go? Because we've already hit a massive resistance at $6 billion. Privacy-related cryptocurrencies have been outperforming the crypto market massively. The second category is privacy blockchain. The third category is zero knowledge proofs. It's all privacy related. Which tokens underperformed? It's all meme coin related. Frog themed, the Boys Club, Binance Launchpad. So it appears as if narratives are shifting, right? One day it's decentralized finance, then meme coin, now it's privacy. ZCash is the largest of the privacy tokens. One might argue whether or not Litecoin is really privacy. Monero hasn't yet appreciated with this run, but Dash definitely has. And we are going to look at a comparison of Dash to ZCash at the end of this video. ZCash is now the 26th largest cryptocurrency with 8 billion in market cap. If the price was to double again, it would hit number 12. And after a 3x, it would be the 10th largest cryptocurrency. Now, it's interesting to see what the short-term capital, the speculative money, is doing with this rally. There have been a lot of short liquidations. Now, this big green candle over here, that's the 10th of October. This is where many longs got liquidated. But currently, with this rally, it's mainly the shorts that get wrecked. I don't really like doing it, but that's how the YouTube game works. That's how the algorithm works. Please give this video a like if what you've seen so far has been useful. Thank you very much. Trading volume on the perpetual futures is sky high. It's much higher than one might expect given the ZEC price. The same is true for open interest. That's now close to $800 million. And again, open interest grew much quicker than the ZEC price. So there's really much more speculation around the asset now compared to prior bull runs. And the vast majority of that speculation revolves around betting on falling prices. So the funding rate is currently negative. There are more people that bet on falling prices than on rising prices. The shorts have to pay the longs to bet on falling prices. It costs money to bet on falling prices. This is not usual for most cryptocurrencies most of the time. In general, we tend to see positive funding rates in the market. But for ZEC, for ZCash, that's very, very different. And this is an expression how the short-term traders are very bearish and that they believe that this market cap is maybe inflated. There is a problem with negative funding rates though, and that is it incentivizes buying more on the spot market. Because here's the thing, if the retail investor is currently betting on falling prices, then the market maker tends to do the opposing bet. They tend to bet on rising prices. Now, in order to support their bet, they're also going to buy up supply on the spot market. So they're betting on rising prices, they buy up supply supply on the spot market, and so the price continues rallying. And so that's why it's so dangerous to still bet on falling prices, despite the very high valuation. At some point, this will turn around. There will be a deflation of this short squeeze. But that's currently what we are in. We are in a short squeeze. There are more people that bet on falling prices, and so ZCash continues to get manipulated to the upside. The question only is, where are we going to see the turnaround? Will it be over here? Will it be right now? We don't know. But I think it's dangerous to enter that position while the funding rate is still so massively negative. It's better to wait until this normalizes, until the last speculator betting on falling prices has been liquidated. And then it might make sense to bet on a reversal again, to bet that the narrative shifts. Because while today everybody talks about privacy, this might be very different 1 or 2 months from now, right? Maybe in 1 or 2 months, everybody talks about decentralized finance again, or about meme coins, or about crypto gaming. Who knows? But things change over time. And so it's very unlikely that ZCash will suddenly hit $10,000, $20,000. At some point, this will turn around because most of the money that's currently in ZCash is very short-term in nature. There's simply so much open interest on the asset now. This is all levered capital that will at some point get flushed out of the market again. Open interest tends to normalize, and it tends to move to other assets once the excitement wanes. If you got some value out of this video, feel free to give this a like. It will help the channel grow. Feel free to also subscribe. I publish videos regularly. You can also check out the premium membership. This is where I share my own trades. A link to premium will pop up directly here on the screen. See you next time on YouTube, or see you in premium. Cheers.